Hello there and welcome to the inaugural episode of Time Wizard Throwbacks, the show where I'm going to feature a different legacy format every episode and give you a little bit of a look into it, what kind of decks you can try to play, and how to best take advantage of this format compared to our usuals. Today we're going to be looking back on a format that many of you probably are familiar with and will probably be going back to quite a few times, as this is one of the most popular legacy formats there is. Today we're going to be looking back on Edison format. As many of you are aware, Edison format is a Time Wizard format from 2010 that took place at Edison, New Jersey's YCS, and it really only took place for the one event, and at that event there was really no clear dominant deck. Many people knew that Quickdraw DandyWarrior was good, some people believe Flamvel was the deck to go, and others believe that Blackwings had a potential shot, as well as Gadgets and even a Doom Caliber Knight deck. But all in all, most people still look back on this format as one of the most open and unsolved formats in the game's history. So today we're going to take a look at one of their main decks, Quickdraw DandyWarrior. So here's our list for today. Something you'll notice very quickly is that even though Quickdraw is kind of the name of the game, we have a lot of other things in here that are just kind of splash pieces that just really work well together. Quickdraw DandyWarrior is one of those decks that is just very open-ended in nature, so we're going to quickly go over the card by card as everything kind of has its own purpose. Starting off here, we got a Battle Fader. Battle Fader is a battle stopper and a special summon body, so you can tribute summon or use it for a synchro summon the following turn. Pretty useful, especially for a level 1 to be used with Quickdraw Synchron. We've got 2 Caius the Shadow Monarch. Caius is one of the best control options in this format. You can tribute over any monster to summon out this body and then banish a card on the field, and if you banished a dark monster this way, it also deals 1,000 to the opponent. This is one of the best removal options that we have actually, because it banishes, doesn't destroy. We have 1 Card Trooper. Card Trooper at this point is limited, but the Mill 3 is extremely powerful. We have 2 Dandelion. Dandelion is one of the main cards in this deck alongside Quickdraw, because anytime it's sent to the graveyard, it'll special summon 2 fluff tokens to be used. Those tokens are level 1, so you can synchro them off with Quickdraw in order to get into Drill Warrior, which we'll touch on later. You got 2 Debris Dragon here, because majority of the monsters in your deck that are main combo pieces are actually under 500 attack. You can actually use Debris Dragon to bring back monsters and actually synchro for a variety of options. 1 Gores. Gores is one of the best hand traps in this format. As a matter of fact, it's one of the only hand traps in this format alongside Battle Fader, so he's an absolute inclusion. We have 2 Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire Blossom at this stage is semi-limited and it is really powerful. You can tribute off any plant monster with Lone Fire Blossom's effect in order to summon any plant from your deck. This can get you access to Dandelion for the token generation, into Titanial, the Princess of Camellias if you need a really powerful body, or even into another copy of Lone Fire in order to help thin your deck a bit or to turn on your Pot of Avarice. Just a really useful card all around. We've got 3 Quickdraw Synchron. This is the main card of the deck and the namesake of Quickdraw DandyWarrior. So the main idea here is that Quickdraw Synchron can discard any monster to special summon himself. He's a level 5 tuner, but he has to be used for the synchro summon of a warrior synchro monster. The main play here is to discard either Dandelion or some way into a level 1 monster so that you can synchro Quickdraw Synchron with that level 1 to form Drill Warrior. This is the backbone of the deck. Drill Warrior has 2 effects, the first of which is he can cut his attack in half in order to attack directly that turn, but a second effect is that during your main phase you can discard 1 card and banish him until the next turn. When he comes back in the standby phase, he recurs 1 monster from your graveyard back to your hand. This is a way that you can actually recur cards like Dandelion and actually be able to use this effect multiple times, which is actually really useful, but it also allows you to recur pretty much any of your main pieces here, so you can pick and choose your plays going into each turn. We got 3 Raikou. Raikou is another one of the best removal options in this format because it just pops and then it mills. So the big thing to remember about this though is that the milling effect on Raikou, even though it says simultaneously here, Raikou's card text at the time says you destroy the card, then you mill. So any card effects that can miss timing will miss timing thanks to Raikou. We have 1 Sangan here because Sangan is just one of the best searchers in this format and is legal. We have Super Nimble Mega Hamster. This is essentially Raikou copy number 4. This allows you to get to Raikou very quickly and lets you basically set up an additional wall. Princess Camellias is here for summoning off a Lone Fire Blossom. 3 Volcanic Shell. This is a newer inclusion in the deck, but Volcanic Shell lets you pay 500 life points while it's in the graveyard to search for a copy of Volcanic Shell from your deck. This is a once per turn, but it's once per copy per turn. What that means is that if you actually put the volcanic shell you searched into the graveyard, you can use that one's effect to also search. In addition to that, you can always recur these using Pot of Avarice, which is really useful. We got one Book of Moon. Book of Moon is one of the best disruption spells in this format. It also gets around a lot of things that lock up trap cards. We got Charge of the Light Brigade to search another copy of Raikou and to mill additional cards. We have Cold Wave for when you're ready to push for a big hit. Cold Wave will lock up all spells and traps for the turn. Really useful there. One Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial lets you either dump Dandelion to get the tokens or to dump a Volcanic Shell to get your searching going. Really useful there. One Heavy Storm, because Heavy Storm is legal, you will want to play Heavy Storm to get rid of Heavy back row. One Mystical Space Typhoon, again, this is limited, so your spell and trap removal might be kind of limited in that regard, but it is still powerful. 3 Pot of Avarice, the fact that this card is at 3 is baffling to me. Yeah, you can target any 5 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 5 of them into the deck and draw 2. Note, you do have to shuffle all 5 back in order to get the draw. You don't even get to shuffle them back if one of those cards leaves the graveyard before it finishes resolving. 2 Bottomless Trap Hole. This is really good against specific strategies that are summoning 1500 attack and higher, especially things like Flamvel, because Flamvel Dog can ruin your day. 2-Dimensional Prison. Battle is really useful for removing threats in this format, and D-Prison kind of gets around that. It also allows you to out Stardust Dragon, which is very difficult to out otherwise. 1 Mirror Force, because Mirror Force is Mirror Force. 1 Solemn Judgment. This is your Omni Negate for pretty much anything. It can also stop inherent summons. 1 Torrential Tribute. Again, it's a good summon stopper. And then 1 Trash Dust Shoot. Moving to the extra deck, we have 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons. This is here for the 2 Cyber Dragons that are in our side deck for any machine strategies we go up against. 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon, because a 3000 defense body is really useful for summoning off of Debris Dragon. 1 Black Rose Dragon, because a quick board nuke to summon off of Debris Dragon is really useful. 3 Drill Warrior, once again, one of the main monsters of the deck. You want to max out your copies on this. 1 Iron Chain Dragon. Debris Dragon can only go into Dragon type monsters, so you want to have at least 1 level 6 option. This is the best option we have. 1 Junk Archer. Quickdraw Synchron can only replace the names of Synchron monsters and Synchro summons. So Junk Archer is here because it gives us a level 7 option for us to summon with Quickdraw. 1 Nitro Warrior, because we need a level 8 option. Red Dragon Archfiend is a level 8 that we can summon pretty regularly with Debris Dragon with any level 3 and a level 1. Note, Debris Dragon cannot use a level 4 as its other material. Stardust Dragon for the same reason here. Turbo Warrior is another level 6 that we can summon with Quickdraw in case Drill Warrior isn't really the best case. He's really useful for outing really big synchro monsters that we wouldn't otherwise have an out to. For the side deck, we have Botanical Lion. This is actually really useful in conjunction with Dandelion tokens. He can get really big really fast and is immune to control switchers. 2 Cyber Dragon for the aforementioned Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. We can also side it in if we think we need more tribute fodder. 2 DD Crow. DD Crow is one of the most important hand traps in this format because you can get rid of things like Treeborn Frog. It is really useful for that regard. 1 Jujutsu Master. This is a really useful card if you need to outplay your opponent by making them think that they're attacking something else. 2 Vanity's Fiend. Locking up special summoning in this format is extremely important, and we do not have the ability to play Royal Oppression because of what our deck does. We would rather lock up special summoning altogether. Vanity's Fiend is the best way to do that. 1 Brain Control. Reminder, the errata on this thing is actually not present in Edison format. It is just pay 800, take control of something that's face up until the end of the turn. 1 Lightning Vortex. This is as close to Raigeki and Dark Hole as we have in the format. 3 Dust Tornado. Because Mystical Space Typhoon is limited, you need additional spell and trap removal options. This is one of the best ones. Transmigration Prophecy. This is actually really useful because it kind of serves as a trapped version that it doubles up on your DD Crows. Really useful at removing targets from the graveyard when necessary. And then 1 Trap Stun. Occasionally this deck can push extremely powerful OTK pushes, and you need some way to stun trap cards that is not named Cold Wave. With that said, the deck is set. Let's get into today's match. Our match this week is going to be against Frog Monarch. We're going first, and this opening hand is solid, all things considered. We have a couple different ways that we can take this. We're going to draw for turn into Debris Dragon. We'll go to main phase 1, set our Raikou, set our MST, and pass the turn. He'll proceed to main phase 1 and drop a 1/1, discarding Treeborn Frog. He'll summon out Substitute from deck, and then on summon, tribute Substitute for its own effect to summon Swap Frog. Swap Frog effect on summon will allow him to dump Treeborn Frog from the deck to the graveyard, which gets him 2 Treeborns to go. He'll tribute his Swap Frog for a Rise of the Storm Monarch and put our Raikou back on top of the deck. He'll proceed to battle and swing in for 24. That's gonna hurt. He'll pass the turn after that. We'll draw our Raikou. In main phase 1, we'll actually pitch Raikou to summon our Quickdraw Synchron, then tribute our Quickdraw Synchron to normal summon Caius so that we can banish his Ryza. We'll go into battle phase and swing in for 24, and then pass the turn after that. He'll draw for turn and standby phase, bring back the Treeborn Frog in attack mode, and then creature swap it to us. No. He'll tribute Archaeus for a Ryza, spin our back row to the top of the deck, and then walk into the Treeborn Frog for 2300 damage. We'll draw for turn, hitting the Mystical Space Typhoon again. We'll summon up Lone Fire Blossom, tribute Lone Fire Blossom for a Lone Fire Blossom, and then tribute that Lone Fire Blossom for Titaniel, the Princess of Camellias. We'll then proceed to walk into his Ryza with Princess for 400 damage, set our MST, and pass the turn. He'll bring back Treeborn again in attack mode again, and he'll creature swap it again. He'll walk into our Treeborn Frog with Princess of Camellias for 2700 and pass the turn. We'll top deck into a Debris Dragon. We'll normal summon that Debris Dragon, bring back Lone Fire to go into Black Rose to attempt to clear the board and stall ourselves for another turn. We just got to pray he doesn't have another Monarch. We'll pass the turn back to him. He brings back his Treeborn Frog in the standby phase, and in main phase he'll tribute for Caius, banishing itself for lethal. So it's time for game 2, and we have a pretty interesting opening here. Lone Fire will give us pretty good defensive options for getting us to Vanity's Fiend next turn. We'll draw for turn and hit the Trap Dust Shoot. That's probably the best card we could have top decked here. We'll tribute Lone Fire Blossom to summon out Dandelion. We'll then set Bottomless and Trap Dust Shoot and pass the turn. He'll draw for turn, and we will flip the Trap Dust Shoot, allowing us to take a look at that hand, and ooh, those really are some options, aren't they? Well, we're not going to be able to stop his Toad line from going off here, so we might as well spin the Caius back so that Soul Exchange doesn't have a valid target under Vanity's Fiend. He'll then proceed to main phase 1 and normal summon the Substitoad. Substitoad will tribute Substitoad in order to summon Swap Frog from deck. Swap Frog effect will trigger on summon to dump the Treeborn Frog from deck to graveyard. His tribute engine is online. He'll then bring the Swap Frog back to hand and pass the turn. We'll draw a Debris Dragon, tribute our Dandelion for a Vanity's Fiend. That way we can lock special summoning. Unfortunately, we do not get the tokens if we tribute Dandelion for Vanity's Fiend because we cannot special summon. We'll walk in for 24 and pass the turn. He'll draw for turn, proceed to MST our back row, and then we'll go to main phase 1. He actually will make a mistake not realizing that Substitoad cannot tribute Vanity's Fiend under Vanity's Fiend, so we'll have to walk back that play a little bit. He'll proceed to set and pass. We'll come into our turn, drawing the Mirror Force. We'll Foolish Burial for our Volcanic Shell. Volcanic Shell effect to pay 500 to get another Volcanic Shell to hand. We'll then walk into a set card with Vanity's Fiend. It's a Substitoad. Go to main phase 2. We'll set the Mirror Force, set a Volcanic Shell, and pass. He'll go to main phase 1 and normal summon his Swap Frog, dumping his second Treeborn Frog from the deck. He'll go to the battle phase, walk into Volcanic Shell, and then in main phase 2, bounce a Swap Frog back to hand to maintain. We'll draw for turn, drawing into Dimensional Prison, go to main phase 1 and trigger Volcanic Shell to get another Volcanic Shell from the deck. We'll then proceed to the battle phase and walk in for 24, go back to main phase 2, setting our Debris Dragon in our D prison. We are setting Debris Dragon here to try and bait our opponent into thinking it's Volcanic Shell again. And then we'll pass the turn from there. He'll draw for turn, looks like he finally hit something he can tribute for Soul Exchange. And then he'll tribute our Vanity Scene for Rise of the Storm Monarch, spinning our Mirror Force to the top of the deck. We here forget that he actually cannot attack under Soul Exchange, so we will have to reset the D prison, resummon the Ryza, and proceed to my turn. We'll draw for turn, hitting that Mirror Force he put back on top. Go to main phase 1, tribute our Debris Dragon for Caius to banish the Ryza. We'll then proceed to walk in for 24, only to get hit with the Battle Vader that we knew was there. So in main phase 2, we'll reset our Mirror Force and pass the turn. It'll go to him in standby phase, he'll get back his Treeborn Frog and enemy controller his Treeborn Frog to take our Caius. Still in standby phase, he'll be able to bring back the Treeborn Frog yet again. He'll proceed straight to the battle phase and walk in for 24. In main phase 2, he will tribute Archaeus for a Vanity's Fiend, so now we're locked from special summoning. He will pass the turn, we'll draw for turn and hit Pot of Avarice. That's a really good hit here. We'll Pot of Avarice targeting Caius, Fiend, Lone Fire, Volcanic Shell, and Debris Dragon, but he will DD Crow our Lone Fire Blossom. Him hitting Lone Fire here is really good for him because it completely shuts off our Avarice. We'll proceed to set the Volcanic Shell and pass the turn. He'll draw for turn, go into battle phase, and swing into our Volcanic Shell with Vanity's Fiend, only to get met with the D prison. He'll go to main phase 2 and normal summon his Swap Frog at this point, dumping another Swap Frog from deck to grave. He'll then bounce a Swap Frog back to hand and pass the turn. We'll draw for turn, hitting a Battle Fader, not ideal, and we'll pass the turn back. He'll draw for turn and normal summon his Swap Frog, dumping a Dupe Frog from deck to grave. He'll then proceed to the battle phase, walk into our Volcanic Shell, and then return his Swap Frog to the hand during main phase 2. He'll proceed to pass the turn. We'll top deck into Card Trooper. That's pretty solid here. We'll normal summon Card Trooper and mill 3, and those mills were not ideal. We'll proceed to battle phase and walk into the Battle Fader to get it off the field and pass the turn. He'll go to main phase 1, normal summon his Substitute, tributing Treeborn Frog to get a Dupe Frog to attempt to lock us out of attacking this next turn. We'll draw for turn and hit Book of Moon, the one card out to this play. We'll go main phase 1, Card Trooper to mill 3, and we will hit a Dandelion. That gets us 2 Dandelion tokens. We'll go to battle phase, Book of Moon his Dupe Frog face down so we can attack other monsters, and swing into the Substitute for 1800 damage. We'll then pass the turn. He'll go to standby and bring back his Treeborn, and pass the turn again. Does not look ideal. We'll draw for turn and hit a Lone Fire Blossom, and that is going to be lethal. We will normal summon the Lone Fire Blossom, tributing off one of our Dandelion tokens to summon Titanial Princess of Camellias from the deck. We'll then use Card Trooper's effect to mill 3 to get it up to 19. We'll go to battle phase, walk into the Treeborn with Lone Fire, walk into the set monster with Titanial, and walk into his life points with Card Trooper for lethal damage. So it's time for game 3, and this is a pretty solid opening for going second. Seeing the DD Crow is really good against this particular deck. Our opponent's going to be going first. They're going to draw for turn. They're going to proceed to set a monster and just pass it. We're going to top deck into the Charge of the Light Brigade. We'll go to main phase 1, fire that off, and get a Raikou search. Our mills are not the best here, but they're also not the worst. We're going to set the Raikou, set 2, and pass. He's going to draw for turn, proceed to main phase 1, flip up the Dupe Frog, and then creature swap to take our Raikou. Okay, that's fair. He's then going to proceed to set 1 and pass, so he doesn't go for the tribute over. We're going to top deck into Pot of Avarice. We're going to swap the Dupe Frog to defense mode, set a Raikou, and pass the turn. He's going to draw for turn, proceed to main phase 1, flip up the Raikou, and pop our newly set Raikou. How unfortunate. He's going to mill 3, gets kind of crap mills there. He's going to tribute the Raikou for Mobius. Oh, we didn't think he had it. So he's going to pop both bottomlesses, but not before we bottomless away his Mobius. We're going to top deck into Caius here, which is really powerful. We're going to tribute off the Dupe Frog for Caius, proceed to banish his face down Treeborn Frog. That is one of 2 copies that he plays in his deck. We're going to proceed to battle phase and swing in for 24 and hit a Battle Fader, unfortunately, so we'll pass the turn. He's going to draw for turn, proceed to main phase 1, and then tribute off the Battle Fader for Dark Dust Spirit. Dark Dust Spirit is going to pop Arceus, unfortunately, as he's going to be able to swing in for 22, proceeds to the end of the turn, and Dark Dust Spirit returns to hand. We'll go to main phase 1 after top decking into a Pot of Avarice, and we'll use Pot of Avarice to return the 5 monsters in our graveyard back into our deck and get 2 free draws here. For some reason, Caius shows twice. We don't know why. We top deck into Debris Dragon and Book of Moon. Debris is not really good when you just shuffled away your targets. We'll set Debris, set Book, and pass the turn. He's just going to set 1 and pass here. We're going to start our turn, top deck into Debris Dragon, and we don't really have anything we want to do here, so we're just going to pass. He'll draw for turn, proceed to main phase 1, and tribute over his set Treeborn Frog for a Vanity's Fiend. That is really good. He'll proceed to battle phase and walk into our set Debris Dragon before passing the turn. It'll come to us. We'll top deck into Solemn Judgment here. That seems pretty useful. We'll proceed to main phase 1 and Lightning Vortex by discarding the second Pot of Avarice, as that card is pretty dead at this point, which will clear the Vanity's Fiend. We accidentally misclick there and have to reset the Book of Moon. We'll set the Debris Dragon, set the Solemn Judgment, and pass the turn. He'll draw for turn, and in his draw phase, we are going to DD Crow his Treeborn Frog, so he no longer has that as an option. He'll proceed to main phase 1 and normal summon Substitute. Instead of getting off the Substitute, we are actually going to Solemn Judgment the normal summon here, so he doesn't get even a chance at getting another Treeborn into the grave. He'll pass the turn. We'll draw for turn into Volcanic Shell. Not really ideal here, so we're just going to set and pass. He'll draw for turn and just pass the turn. Really not ideal for him. We're going to draw for turn, hit a Sangan, and that's something we were looking for. We'll proceed to flip up our board after normal summoning the Sangan to get into Stardust Dragon, which triggers the Sangan's mandatory search. Off the Sangan here, we're going to search for a Lone Fire Blossom. That gives us more options for next turn. We'll then proceed to Volcanic Shell in the grave, paying 500 to search for another Volcanic Shell. We'll then proceed to the battle phase and walk in with Stardust for 2500 and hit a Battle Fader. He had to have 2. He'll tribute the Battle Fader for a Dark Dust Spirit. Second verse, same as the first, but this time we have Stardust to negate and destroy that Dark Dust Spirit. He then proceeds to soul release our Stardust Dragon as well as half of our graveyard. That's really rough on us. He'll pass the turn. It'll come to us. We'll draw into Vanity's Fiend here. We're going to normal summon our Lone Fire here, then proceed to tribute it off to get Titanial Princess of Camellias out of our deck. We'll then proceed to walk in for 2800 before passing the turn to him. He'll draw for turn, set 1, and pass. That's not good. We'll draw for turn hitting a card trooper. We're going to go straight to battle and walk into the Duke. He'll get a swap frog off of that, and we'll go to main phase 2, setting our volcanic shell and passing. He'll draw for turn and then proceed to normal summon his swap frog to dump a monster from deck to grave. He dumps a Substitoad, which signals to me he is out of Treeborn Frogs. He'll proceed to set a card before passing the turn. We will go into battle phase, swing into his swap frog, and he will flip Spiritual Water Art Aoi to allow him to rip a card out of our hand. There goes our Vanity's Fiend. We'll replay battle and continue to swing in for 28. That at least puts him on a clock. We'll proceed to main phase 2, set our card trooper so we can potentially get a draw off of it and pass. He'll draw, go to main phase 1, and go for Pot of Avarice to get 5 of his monsters back into the deck and draw 2. That is really good for him at this particular stage of the game. Unfortunately, Dueling Book does glitch out here, so you can't see the rest of it, but he'll draw 2, proceed to drop Soul Exchange, targeting our Princess of Camellias. We will chain Princess of Camellia's effect to negate it by tributing herself, and that is the end of the game. So we're back with the list, and it performed very impressively. So the pros. Even though we didn't actually get to see the main line of the deck in this particular match, I feel that Quickdraw is one of the most flexible decks in this format. It is a really good deck that has a lot of different lines that you can use to learn the format. It is also one of the easiest decks to counter out because a lot of people have had practice against this deck because it is the most common. Your surprise factor is going to be extremely limited here. That doesn't change the fact that at its core, the deck is extremely consistent and really good at what it does. If you're looking to try Edison format, this is definitely the deck that you're going to want to start with, but then I would definitely look into branching out further from there. We're definitely going to come back to Edison format and cover more of these in the future.